At the beginning of the week, traders learned that a rise in the Chinese manufacturing PMI became slower. The key sector of the world's second-largest economy has faced difficulties because by the price pressure and the limited supply. At the same time, demand remains high. Experts at the National Bureau of Statistics of China still suppose that business activity is showing stable growth. During the new trading week, traders will also learn about other reports, including those prepared by Markit. The information will reflect the current conditions of the world's largest economies. Of course, market participants will price in other macroeconomic reports. We will take a close look at these events in our video review on InstaForex TV channel. On Tuesday, experts at Market Economics will disclose their data on the Chinese business activity. This report covers small and medium businesses. The data may raise interest in riskier assets. At the same time, the dynamic of the Australian dollar, the national currency of China's main supplier of raw materials, will depend on the central bank's rhetoric. The Reserve Bank of Australia will hold a meeting this week. However, economists do not foresee any changes. The key interest rate is likely to remain at the level of 0.10% up to 2024. Inflation may accelerate to the targeted level of 2.3%. However, in June, the central bank may tackle the issue of the expansion of its three-year yields target beyond April 2024. At the moment, the regulator sticks to the current targeted level of 10 basis points. On Tuesday, during the European session, traders will also focus on the inflation figures. The Eurozone will publish its preliminary estimates for May. According to the forecast, the rise in consumer prices may accelerate to 1.9%, approaching the ECB's targeted level of 2%. If the reading is below the forecast, the gradual growth in inflation may have a positive effect on the euro. The fact is that the Eurozone economy is still not ready for higher key interest rates. If inflation growth exceeds 2%, the ECB will have to raise the benchmark interest rate. In any case, traders are likely to buy US assets after the publication of the manufacturing PMI data for May. Institute for Supply Management is likely to report on a stable increase in the manufacturing and services sectors amid the reopening of manufacturing firms, ongoing government support, and one of the most successful vaccination campaigns in the world. As a result, the US dollar may gain in value. Also on Tuesday, traders will learn about Canada's economic condition. The GDP report for the first quarter is slated for release that day. Economists suppose that on a yearly basis, the economic growth may slide to 6.6%, remaining at a very high level. However, taking into account the low base effect in 2020, the country's economy shrank by 5.4% because of the pandemic. This is the largest drop from 1961. At the same time, Australia's economy looks a bit healthier. According to the previous report, during 2 quarters, the country's GDP advanced by more than 3% for the first time in the last 60 years. The rise was caused by the significant financial and fiscal support. However, on a yearly basis, Australia's economy shrank by 1.1%, thus proving the necessity of additional support. At the same time, in the first quarter, GDP may show a rise. Of course, taking into account the low base effect, the increase could be rather small. However, traders are expected to buy the Australian dollar. You were watching Forex Trader Calendar on InstaForex TV channel with me, Kate Stichina. We wish you profitable deals with InstaForex.